Hey everybody. Well, it's been 11 months since my kidney transplant, and I'm doing good. I've started working out. My husband and I do some P90X and some insanity workout. Uh, can't do the whole thing yet, but I'm getting there. The more you work out, the more strength you build, the longer your endurance, and the more energy I have. It's amazing. So I really enjoyed it. Um, I wanted to get kind of back to my original story. We left off in the middle because I got my transplant quickly. But the story, the reason I was in the situation to be on dialysis and get a kidney transplant is because, of course, of my lupus. But as you've noticed through the last stories, but this situation was a little different. In 2010, um, I was in my senior year of college with two little kids, and my my husband got a new job in Utah, and so he moved to Utah when I finished school, and for about 3 months while I stayed here with the girls and finished. And right at the end of graduation, when we were planning on moving down to Utah with him, his employer lost one of his biggest clients, and he was told that he wouldn't be needed anymore. And so we were in the situation where neither one of us had jobs, and we had to move off campus, and needed to figure all of that out. So the stress bubble started. And of course, you work through all that, you just do what's necessary and have faith. And we did that, but it still creates some stress. So we both got jobs, luckily, quickly. And I started in as a full-time employee at a communications company for the deaf. And it's the first time I had ever worked full-time, 40 hours a week type of thing, plus an hour each day for lunch. And so it was interesting to me how it affected me as a mother. I just felt stressed, even though my kids were at school most of the day, that I wasn't doing everything I needed to do. And so, which is personal for me, not everyone is like that, but for me, that puts stress on myself. Plus the stress of the work you have to do at work, even though to me it was enjoyable and I like doing the statistics and the reports and whatnot and the scheduling for the interpreters. Of course, it brings some stress with deadlines and that type of thing. So the stress was building within my body, and my lupus reacted, and I probably wasn't eating the way I should have been, and it just kind of snowballed downhill from there. And I knew in the past that my kidneys had regenerated after medication and whatnot, so I wasn't too concerned about it when I went into my doctor and he said that I was at 11% kidney function. I thought, oh, well, I've been there before. They'll just bounce back with some medication, throw me on some Cytoxin and whatnot, and we'll be fine. Well, you can't be on Cytoxin a bunch of times. It just doesn't work. Your body gets used to it, the chemicals don't perform. So my rheumatologist was very smart and referred me to a nephrologist, a renal specialist. And we went through the different procedures of putting me on medications and that type of thing in fact, it's the same medications they use now on me for anti-rejection that they put me on at that time to um, kind of suppress my lupus because it's an autoimmune disorder. And so it was the same Myfortic and Prograph at that time. And I think my body was just at a point to where it was collapsing, and I kept going to work. I kept, when you're on prednisone and you're on those different medications, you don't sleep very well, especially if they're high doses. I wasn't sleeping, and then I was getting up and going to work, and then, the cycle just continues. And when your kidneys are failing, your blood pressure rises, And then when your blood pressure rises, it causes kidneys to fail. And sorry, I'm losing my video here. Um, Hopefully you can still hear me. Anyway, so I went through the process of um, the cycle of the kidneys failing and the high blood pressure. So by the end of that, my body was to a point where my kidneys were completely gone, and my blood pressure one night skyrocketed to over 200, the systolic, and I began seizuring. And my husband ran me to the hospital. I don't remember any of it. Um, they took me to the ER. I went into a coma for 3 days, and they could not control this blood pressure. They put me on some dialysis within the hospital and cleaned out my body. I was in the CCU for 2 weeks, and they finally put me in a regular room, but I honestly probably should have been in the CCU another 2 weeks because I was not stabilized. And when I left the hospital a month later, I was still not stabilized, and it was a very interesting time for my family. And my husband and my children were so wonderful at doing the necessary things at home and providing for us and taking care of me, even in my critical state where I had to be with someone at all times. And so that was my um, experience with that. Now, you must wonder, well, what happened? Why didn't the dialysis in the hospital just automatically kick in, fix my blood pressure? Well, what had happened during my work days that we hadn't caught, the doctors or I hadn't caught, was that I had developed TTP, and that is a separate disease that just eats up all your platelets and your blood cells, and um, your body's just poisoning itself again with junk, with leftovers. And so I went through 17 units of plasma a day for 25 days. If you have a plasma center around your area, please donate. They ran out in the Northwest on me, and and so we went through all of that, and it still did not cure the TTP. Well, an older hematologist came in and said, to cure this in the older days before they came up with these transfusions, we would take the spleen out. And so I was very cautious. I'm always cautious about taking organs out and surgeries and that type of thing. And they took it out, and it cured it within 2 days. My numbers were back to normal. They just couldn't believe it. And so that part, the TTP, was completely cured just by taking out my spleen. And then I went through, after being home from the hospital, starting on dialysis, getting on the wait list, which took a long time in itself just to get on the list. They want to make sure you're good enough for a new kidney. And I'm just so very thankful that people are donors, that they are selfless enough to do that for someone like me, like you, like others who are struggling and need that support. And I just appreciate it so, so very much. And thank God for everything He's done for me and my family. In fact, I think I mentioned in my last video that I was looking into health coaching. And I've been coaching now for 7 months, and I've been helping people lose weight and get healthier. When I was in the clinic for dialysis, many of the people were in there because of high blood pressure and diabetes, and it just made me so sad because they're preventable. And so I wanted to jump in there and help others, teach others, help them avoid the dialysis clinic and the transplant clinic, and have a happier life. And so I hope I hope I've encouraged some people. I want to encourage more people. Um, I want to hear other people's stories, especially about their transplants and their struggles. I know it's a lifelong ordeal, and so I'm enjoying life right now, and looking forward to what's coming, no matter what. So even though I know it's going to be full of trials yet again, but that's okay. I'm enjoying today. So I'm signing off. Sorry my video wouldn't work for the last half of it, but I hope you can hear me. And sorry this is such a long one. I'll try and make some more videos as time goes on with updates on my kidney and my health coaching. And I'd love to hear other people's stories and answer questions. I know the whole dialysis process is very scary, and but it's such a blessing in the end. You want to be here. So talk to you later. Signing off.